Welcome to Charette Theory, your trusted companion in shaping interiors where design meets clarity, emotion, and evolving human needs. In today's episode, we're looking at a fascinating transformation underway in the world of interior design. For the past few years, we've seen the rise and reign of soft minimalism, a style rooted in restraint, calm, and neutral palettes. But in 2025, something new is emerging, a shift toward bolder visual contrasts, expressive materials, and highly curated complexity. It doesn't mean minimalism is over. Far from it. But it's evolving. And this year, we're seeing a richer vocabulary of spatial expression, where quiet serenity can coexist with visual drama, and where personality is no longer something to hide, but something to shape deliberately into the space itself. Let's walk through the key interior shifts happening in 2025, from materials and color palettes to layout, furniture, lighting, and overall atmosphere. So that whether you're renovating a home, redesigning a room, or simply rethinking your space, you'll know exactly how to stay ahead of the curve. Before we jump in, if you love exploring inspiring design ideas and architectural stories, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss out on what's coming next. Alright, let's get into it. Let's begin with where we've been. Soft minimalism became the defining style of the early 2020s, favoring organic textures, muted tones, and simplified forms. It emphasized well-being, natural light, tactile softness, and a slower pace of living. Think linen curtains, low-slung oak furniture, beige plaster walls, sculptural ceramics. The mood was restful and reflective. In 2025, this aesthetic hasn't disappeared. But it has matured. We're seeing soft minimalism deepen its materiality. The palette is expanding beyond beige into more complex neutrals, mushroom gray, almond cream, ecru, olive stone. Instead of pure smoothness, we're embracing natural variation, honed stone, hand-troweled surfaces, raw brushed woods. There's also a stronger interest in proportion and spatial rhythm. Minimalist spaces in 2025 are still open and calm, but now they're punctuated by sculptural shapes, asymmetry, and even touches of historical reference. Soft minimalism is no longer about subtraction alone. It's about balance. The comfort of simplicity, layered with intentional contrast. So what's changing? A clear shift is happening, and it's toward contrast. 2025 is seeing a renewed appetite for bold visual tension. We're talking black against ivory. Matte textures next to glossy surfaces. Sharp-edged silhouettes contrasted with plush, rounded forms. There's an emerging desire to feel the difference between things, to make a room come alive through deliberate juxtaposition. This is not a return to maximalism, but a strategic embrace of drama. Picture a white travertine table surrounded by dark walnut chairs. Or a deep blue velvet sofa floating in a soft, sandalwood space. These contrasts don't overwhelm, they anchor. They create energy, grounding minimalist rooms with depth and personality. Designers are also playing more with negative space, leaving gaps that frame certain elements as focal points, almost like curating an art gallery. Statement pieces aren't necessarily loud, but they hold presence. Boldness, in 2025, isn't about chaos. It's about confidence. Color is one of the clearest signals of this shift. While the earthy palette of clay, sand, and terracotta still has influence, 2025 is introducing new tones into the interior world. Dusty saffron, deep forest green, ink black, midnight blue. Even aubergine and plum are making their way into accent walls, upholstery, and cabinetry. These richer hues are being layered over classic neutrals. They don't replace minimalism, they intensify it. Think of a minimalist space with a single oxblood-toned armchair. Or a serene bedroom with a slate grey velvet headboard that soaks up the light. What's important is the contrast, and the controlled use of saturation. Bold colors are being used in small, targeted ways to deepen the emotional temperature of a room. This isn't just about aesthetics, it's about how color can shift a mood, define a zone, or build tension and release within a space. Another major shift is happening in material choice. In the 2020s, we saw a strong focus on light oak, rattan, linen, and terrazzo. In 2025, we're moving toward richer, moodier, more tactile materials. Burnished metals, reclaimed woods, brushed limestone, smoked glass, and even lacquered finishes are returning, especially in dark tones, where they reflect light like still water. Layering is key. Designers are mixing smooth and rough, matte and reflective, warm and cool materials to create sensory tension. A velvet banquette under a poured concrete ceiling. A dark marbled countertop beside an untreated wood cabinet. These decisions build character and complexity without crowding the space. Sustainability also continues to influence material choice. Vintage pieces, architectural salvage, and handcrafted surfaces are increasingly favored, not only for their eco-impact, but for the stories they carry. By the way, if you're enjoying this so far, please give it a like, it really helps more design lovers find Charette Theory. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, we've got a lot more ideas coming your way. Now, back to the details. In terms of furniture, 2025 is seeing a move away from overly light, leggy forms toward more grounded silhouettes. Sofas are lower and deeper. Coffee tables are chunkier, often in stone or solid wood. Dining chairs are sculptural and expressive, less about invisibility, more about form. Built-in furniture is also trending, particularly in small or open-plan spaces, where it helps define visual flow and scale. That said, floating elements haven't disappeared. But when used, they are often set against something heavy, a floating shelf over a blocky sideboard, or a wall-mounted light over a solid stone pedestal. Again, it's about contrast. The light and the anchored. The lifted and the grounded. Lighting design in 2025 is less about uniformity and more about intentional drama. We're seeing fewer overhead fixtures and more layered lighting, recessed architectural lights, sculptural pendants, hidden cove lights, wall-mounted sconces, and directional spotlights. The goal is to create zones, moments of brightness and shadow that guide the eye and define use. Statement lighting is especially popular this year. Oversized paper pendants, brutalist wall sconces, and Art Deco-inspired brass lamps are all being used as functional sculpture. In minimalist spaces, lighting is often the boldest object in the room, a glowing piece of art. Warm white light remains dominant, but designers are embracing dynamic lighting temperatures throughout the day to mimic natural cycles and enhance mood. One of the more subtle yet impactful shifts this year is in layout thinking. Instead of purely open concept spaces, 2025 favors intentional spatial breaks. Arches, freestanding partitions, tall shelving units, and subtle floor-level changes are being used to create visual rhythm and a sense of quiet zoning. These spatial devices allow rooms to feel more curated, more lived in, and more layered. There's also a renewed focus on pause points, built-in benches, nooks, and small transitions between spaces that give the eye and the mind a chance to rest. These small design moments are where soft minimalism and bold expression meet most gracefully. Perhaps the biggest shift of all is psychological. In 2025, interior design is less about following style categories and more about creating narrative clarity. Spaces are being designed around mood, memory, utility, and emotion. A room isn't just minimalist or eclectic, it's calm, or grounded, or structured, or wild. People want their homes to reflect their inner rhythms, not just their Pinterest boards. This is where personalization comes in, not in clutter, but in curation. A singular art piece, a distinctive light fixture, or a bold material choice can say more than a dozen objects. The idea is to edit ruthlessly, but express deliberately. The future isn't maximalist or minimalist, it's expressive minimalism. The space doesn't just serve life, it shapes it. As we move through 2025, the most compelling interiors won't necessarily be the trendiest, they'll be the most thoughtfully composed. Where restraint meets personality. Where softness meets boldness. And where materials, color, and light are used not just to decorate, but to communicate. Thank you for joining us here at Charette Theory. If this video helped you think differently about the space you live in, or inspired a new idea for your next project, don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and explore our channel for more in-depth design analysis. Until next time, stay intentional, and design with meaning.